Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Alex Sunners. I'm joined here with my colleague Roger Bear, and we are with the Financial Consulate.
And we're here to talk about transferring generational wealth.
Yeah, it's a
Alec.
really good topic. A
It's a
lot of tax advice.
it it is highly technical tax advice. I was surprised when we looked at this and said, wait a minute, it's a lot of technical tax stuff we're going to talk about now.
Yeah, so one of the things that we want to say before we start is we're going to be talking a lot of concepts today. And for your specific situation, it's important that you talk to a tax advisor, someone like Roger or myself or the team here at the Financial Consulate.
Indeed. And if you don't have a tax advisor, make sure you find one. These are some technical tax strategies
Yes.
for you to use to consider good, efficient ways to transfer your generational wealth. So let's get into it.
Yeah. So one of the things that we want to talk about, and what the main thing we want to talk about, is gifting. And gifting, everyone says, well, I don't want to give too much money because of the income tax consequences. And that's not true. If you receive a gift, there are no tax at all.
Well, there are no tax consequences for the receiver or the giver. Now, we need to caveat that a little bit.
Yes.
And the trouble that arises because if you give more than the $18,000 limit, you have to file a little thing called a gift tax return. But it's an informational return, and no taxes are paid to the IRS or anybody else for that matter if you file that return. So that's one of the major misunderstandings involving gifting. The other thing I would say, Alec, about gifting is that what does gifting allow you to do? It allows you to see the effect that your gift can have on your heirs while you are alive. Said another way, do you want to wait till you die to give all your money away and never see the effect it has, the good effects it can have on someone's life?
Yeah. And for single individuals, the lifetime gift and estate tax limit is 13.61 million as of this year. And if you're married, you have portability with your spouse, and that 13.61 is doubled.
So 26, 27 million, if you're going to give 27 million away, the IRS might be interested. Otherwise, no worries, should I say? Can
Yeah.
I say,
Yeah,
Alex?
you should be safe if you're not anywhere near
Yeah.
that. The other caveat, though, is that law sunsets in 2026. So that limit is going to be essentially half of what it is now. So again, still dealing with high net worth individuals, the limit's still going to be pretty high, but always things to consider that it's not going to be as high as it is now.
So gifting is a great way to transfer wealth during your lifetime.
So some of the other strategies we're going to talk about with regards to gifting are some things like funding Roth IRAs for your children. As long as they are working and their income isn't too high, you can fund a Roth IRA on their behalf.
Or funding an HSA, health savings account for children, if they have a high deductible health plan. We'll talk more about that, but an HSA is a very powerful vehicle.
Yeah. Also, gifting into a 529. A 529 is commonly used for education expenses. And there are some strategies that you can use to get more than just that annual limit into a 529. We'll go into that a little bit later.
And then gifts to a grantor living trust. Now, that's a little bit more complicated. You need an attorney in addition to a tax advisor to set up a living trust, but definitely something we should talk about and give some consideration to.
Yeah. And another thing, if you own a business, you can employ your children or grandchildren. And you might think, oh, they don't really do much for me. But if they pose for pictures that you post on your website, you can pay them for that.
You can pay them for that. Yeah.
So let's talk about Roth IRAs. And one of the best uses of that Roth IRA is to put money in and let it sit there and let it grow. Don't touch it until you're retired. And guess what? All of that money is growing tax-free into the future.
Indeed. So think about putting a dollar in a Roth IRA of a young person, somebody who's 10 years old, as an example,
Mhm.
how big the dollars will be when they reach retirement age. The other technique that I have encouraged parents or grandparents to use is the matching technique. To say to a young person, if you will put a dollar in a Roth IRA, I'll match it. And you encourage this habit of giving throughout their lifetime. And again, through the vehicle, the powerful vehicle of the Roth IRA.
So the max you can put in a Roth IRA for a child this year is $7,000, but that's only if they have $7,000 of earnings. So if your 16-year-old son's a lifeguard at the local pool and he earns $3,000 during the summer, they can put in $3,000 into that Roth IRA.
Indeed.
So similar to a Roth IRA in the sense of, funding accounts for your children is the HSA. Works a little bit differently because it focuses on medical expenses rather than growing tax-free for retirement. But the HSA goes in tax-free, comes out tax-free, as long as it's used for medical expenses.
Yeah, to a certain extent, the HSA is more powerful than the Roth IRA because you get a income tax deduction for contributions to the HSA, and you can allow them to accumulate. You can invest them inside the HSA, and you're not mandated to take the money out at any time for medical expenses. So you can allow them to accumulate, much like a Roth IRA, over your lifetime.
Yeah, and this works a little bit differently than that Roth IRA in the sense that you can't open a HSA for your 10-year-old son who's a dependent on your tax return. But if you have a college student who's 21 and is no longer a dependent on your return, but still on your medical insurance, they can open that HSA, and that's how you can get that money in there.
Great vehicle. So 529 education accounts are another way to transfer wealth to your heirs. You can make contributions to a 529. You may get, some states are a little different, you may get a state income tax deduction for the contributions. The money grows tax-free as long as the distributions come out for education expenses. And of course, they've broadened the scope of allowable education expenses since the initiation of the 529.
Yeah, and the cool thing about a 529 is that deposits into a 529 are considered a gift. So there's that $18,000 limit per year. But with a 529, you can put up to 5 years worth of contributions in the first year. So if you have the money available, you can put $90,000 into the 529 in that first year.
So you can, and then you amortize the gift over the succeeding 5 years.
Yeah.
So with the broadened allowable distribution for education expenses, in other words, it's just not for college education anymore. It could be for secondary education, for other educational experiences, and not just for college. It could be for trade school as well. So the 529 is, I think, Alec, a pretty potent gift opportunity.
Yeah, and another thing with the 529 is with the Secure Act 2.0, if the 529 has been open for certain many years, you haven't made contributions in the last 5, that 529 can be used to fund Roth IRAs. So if there are still unused funds in the 529 after all college expenses are paid, there is that opportunity to move that money from the 529 into the Roth IRA as a contribution.
So definitely talk to us about the conversion opportunities from the 529 to the Roth IRA.
Yeah. So the Grantor Living Trust, this is a complex technique that isn't used by everyday individuals. This really is for individuals that are high net worth, I would say at least 10 million, because this gets very complex and it can be expensive with attorney fees, trust fees, etc. But essentially what the Grantor Living Trust is you create a trust and then you can gift assets into the trust. those assets are then going to produce income, they're going to produce dividends, capital gains, etc. But those assets are going to be taxed to the grantor. The grantor is the person that's setting up the trust. So the beneficiary of that trust is earning all of this money that's first put in, plus all of the earnings. And those earnings are not considered a gift, even though the account is growing and it's going to the beneficiary. Those earnings are not a gift.
So in sum, I think you've said it well, Alec. The grantor living trust is more complicated. It requires an attorney and tax advice, tax accountant advice. We're talking much more money. So it may not apply to everybody, but certainly if you're a person with a high net worth and you want to transfer money into the name for a child, in the future, certainly, this is an opportunity for you to transfer wealth and continue to control it, pay the taxes, and into the future.
And the cool thing about this is you can use these other strategies in addition to this. So if you're funding Roth IRAs, you're funding HSAs, you're funding 529s, and you're saying, hey, I still have all of this money that I need to pass effectively, let's open the door for the grantor living trust.
Certainly worth a discussion.
And then this one is specifically for business owners, but there's always things that a business owner can do for their children or grandchildren in their business. So you can hire children or grandchildren, and they don't have to be, sitting at a desk 9 to 5 every day to work for you. They can be doing things like cleaning up around the office or posing for pictures online,
collecting the trash, mowing the lawn, which I did for a family business. Who knows what else. You can pay them as long as importantly, they need to really do some work.
Yeah.
And you probably need to keep some records. As we say here, you're going to have to pay Medicare and Social Security taxes on the income.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not without some administrative burden. However, if the kids do work for the business, then indeed you're employing them, and it sets them up to be able to make Roth IRA contributions or HSA contributions.
Yeah, they have that income now, and up to $12,000 is going to be federal tax free. So you still have to pay the Social Security, Medicare, but there is that limit that you can get up to without having to pay any federal income tax.
And the IRS isn't going to come in and question the rate at which you're compensating your kids. That's up to you. You own the business. You can compensate your kids for mowing the lawn, clearing the snow, collecting the trash, whatever. Posing for pictures.
Posing for pictures. Yeah, and I think you said it best. Is as long as they're doing something for the business, they have to be doing something. You can't just pay them for.
You don't want to make them up. That's right.
That's right. So if you have listened to this webinar today and you thought, that's a great idea, but I don't know really how to implement that. Well, what does that actually mean? Can we talk about my specific situation? Reach out to us. If you're already a client, reach out to your primary advisor. They'll have all of the knowledge you need to explain all of these concepts for you. And then if you're interested in becoming a client, you can head to our website, learn about us, or you can scan the QR code there to set up an intro meeting with us.
We would appreciate the opportunity to speak with you. And for clients, give us a call. We can talk to you about any of these strategies to assist you in transferring wealth to your future generations.
And on behalf of Roger and myself and the entire Financial Consulate team, I thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next month. We've got a great webinar coming up. We've got some tax planning tips before April 15th.
It's tax time. It's tax time. If you haven't heard, it's tax time.
Yeah.
And we're getting ready to put the cap on 2023 taxes before prep, and we're going to begin the process of planning for 2024. So from the Financial Consulate, Alec and I bid you good afternoon. Thank you.